Hi everyone, in this video I'm going to be showing you how to begin designing your prototype screens using the brand kit that you developed in the previous step as well as the wireframes. Um, so here I'm starting out just by using the frame tool in the bottom toolbar, and I'm selecting iPhone because I'm designing a mobile app. And as I go through this process, I'll be referencing my wireframes as inspiration as well as the brand kit. You can follow your wireframes exactly, but um, some of what I'm going to be prototyping, I didn't include in my wireframes, and I'm just kind of making sure that I create right now, focusing on the onboarding experience of my app. And so I'm using the colors from my branding kit right now to build out my screen, as well as to create my text for these different screens. So right now I'm just creating a welcome screen for my app, and I'm playing around with size using the scaling tool, which is on the first tool in the bottom toolbar. As you begin prototyping, a helpful tool is layout grid. So for my grid, I want it there to be 3 columns, and then I'm just playing around with margin and gutter. So gutter is the space between the columns, while margin is the space between this outside space between the columns and the border of the left and right borders of my screen. And now I'm going to use the shape tool and select rectangle so that I can create a button for my design that'll bring the user to the next page. And I wanted this to be a rounded rectangle, so more of a pill shape. So I'm just making the radius 100, or just um, as as large as it can get. And then I'm going to be adding the text to create my button using the text tool. And throughout this process, you can always check what it looks like by pressing the play button. Um, Up on this toolbar over here. This is the play button. And that'll just allow you to take a look at your prototype so that you know what it's going to look like on the phone. So just kind of referencing and viewing how this feels as you're designing. And once I'm happy with that, I'm going to duplicate that screen by holding the Option key and dragging. This way, if there's anything I want to use from the first screen, it'll be in the same place, and it's also going to be the same size. And so I'm just going to start inputting the text I want for my next page. So each frame is going to be a page slash screen of your design. And basically, this part of the process, you're going to be creating um, a screen for each page that you want the user to experience. So for each button and each page, it has to be a separate screen. And so now I'm sort of creating 3 boxes that's going to say, are you an individual, a community, or organization, so that the users can identify what type of profile or account that they're creating. And as you're going through this process, you might start creating graphics as well. So here I want to create a graphic for that symbolizes like an individual. And so I wanted to sort of like have a little happy face, um, or just like a face to make it more of like a character. And so I'm just bringing in this little star shape again that I had developed before. And then just going to give it some eyes using the ellipse tool. So this is just sort of my process on how I would be designing these screens, but there's a lot of different assets that you can pull in, such as like the existing UI kits or other illustrations that you might want to use. But I think it's also cool to just show how I would approach creating these little extra illustrations um, through my process as well. Um, so yeah, as you can see, I'm starting to build out like what these different buttons and cards are going to look like. And after I create something, I also like to group them. So I'll select all the parts of the shape by holding Shift and then press Command G to create it to make it into a group so that I can just move the whole graphic together. And so as you can see, this is what it looks like after I sort of copy these buttons and recreate them to fit the different selections I want to offer my user. And for me, I'm just creating this manually, so layering a bunch of rectangles over each other, and then I'm going to be inputting the text that will serve as the titles for each of these different input boxes. Um, and as I layer these different elements, they start to create these um, different interactive um, components that will ultimately create what my design looks like. This page looks like after I create all of these different buttons using text and shapes. And then now I'm just making them all lay out together. I'm grouping this text and square to make it like a cohesive button. So now I'm going to duplicate this page and create what it would look like when this button is active, and it would become active once the user inputs a phone number, email, or creates a login using the options given to them. And then here I'm just playing around with positioning and sizing. And now I'm prototyping the next screen, which would be to verify the account. So I'm trying to make a screen that will show, um, that will prompt the reader to input a code to verify their account. And I'm bringing in a lot of the components from the last screen, and I'm just gonna delete what I don't need. And then now I'm going to create this little box section for the codes. And so here I've added a copy of the screen that shows an inputted code. And I want to make this star guy have a smiley face to show that the user has successfully verified and inputted the correct code. And so for the rest of this process, you're just going to be continuing to build out these screens by duplicating them and creating what you want the screen to show. And I really just recommend um, duplicating screens using ways of designing that feel consistent throughout all the different screens, such as buttons or these cards, and as well as text size. So just making sure that that feels consistent will make your process look more professional and also be easier because you're reusing a lot of these assets that you're creating. And then in the next video, I'm going to show you how to connect all your different screens so that when the user clicks on the button in your prototype, it will automatically lead them to the next screen. So right now in this phase, you're just building out all of the screen designs side by side, but they're not yet connected. And so now I'm going to show you where my prototype ended up for this flow. And this is what it looks like after putting in some more time to develop this prototype for these screens. I added this progress bar that changes every step of the way. And then after they verify their account, there's a complete your profile section where the user inputs their information, selects their identities, as well as their interests, so that we can get them connected to the right communities and spaces using our app. And then this would be the next and final page of this flow where they get like a welcome and a summary of their profile, as well as a summary of what this app is, how it works, and then completing and agreeing to the different community values for this app. And then in the next video, I'll be talking about how to connect all of these screens so that when the user selects and goes from one page to another, it'll actually flow when they click these buttons. See you in the next video.